10. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And we begin at the Capitol tonight as Connecticut lawmakers are preparing to vote on the state budget. Good evening. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Jen Bernstein. Thank you so much for joining us. The budget includes the largest income tax in our state's history. Lawmakers planning on discussing that bill tonight. Fox 61's Gabby Molina joins us live outside of the state capitol in Hartford to explain where things stand and what else is in the budget. Gabby.
Well, Jen and Ben, that budget still has not been brought up here in the House of Representatives. It keeps getting pushed back and pushed back. We were originally told sometime after 5 o'clock, but right now, as of 10, it still has not been brought up. When it does get brought up, though, we are told that it is expected to get bipartisan support, though there are some who are disappointed with what made it in and what didn't make it in. A balanced budget under the spending cap.
It's not a budget that doesn't move forward. And that's what we've got to remind everybody. That's what we're here for.
And set to receive bipartisan support.
I think you're going to see a lot of robust discussion, but overall, I think you'll see Republican support on the budget.
Lawmakers and the governor coming together to agree on a 2-year, $51.1 billion budget.
We are happy to see that being a minority caucus, that our voices were really heard, and the governor took a lot of our ideas and we joined hands and made sure that those initiatives made it to the finish line.
The budget includes the largest income tax cut in Connecticut's history, increases the earned income tax credit, and eliminates more retirement income taxes.
Over the biennium, I think it's about $800 million in tax cuts.
It also funds education in our state, providing over $240 million for public education, expanding debt-free community college, and $135 million more than the governor had originally proposed for state colleges and universities.
We have funding in here for higher education. We saved them this year in balancing them and providing additional dollars.
However, in some areas, some argue that funding falls short. Secretary of the State Stephanie Thomas says while the legislature passed early voting this session, the budget doesn't include enough money for it.
You get the elections that you pay for, right? So to underfund something as important as our elections, I think, is just asking for trouble.
Lawmakers say it's something they can come back to next session.
I think it's something we are going to have to revisit next year. And again, not just look at funding for early voting, but also help logistically on how the towns are going to implement it.
Now, at last check, I was told that they do still plan to bring the budget up tonight, and that discussion could last several hours, so it could be a late night here at the Capitol, though the budget bill is expected to pass in the House of Representatives. This is still developing, so we will continue to keep you updated. And just a reminder, the legislative session ends on Wednesday at midnight. Live at the state Capitol, Gabby Molina, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Clock's ticking. Budget watch continues. Gabby, thank you. Let's get to the weather watch here. It has been a pretty chilly couple of days comparatively. Big difference from the summer heat we saw end of last week.
So let's see what's in store for us this week, shall we? Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us with a first check of the forecast. Rach.
A slight bump in the temperatures tomorrow, not much. Overall, we are going with continued below average temperatures right through Friday of this week, with the chance for showers and rumbles of thunder at times. Although none of the days this week will be a washout, you will occasionally have to reach for your umbrella. An air quality alert is in effect for the entire state. Once again, we are talking about wildfire smoke in Canada. It's not just in the upper levels of the atmosphere making things look hazy, it's also down at the surface. It's building in tonight, and it will be really thick as we head through the day tomorrow, so that will be enough to reduce the air quality. You will likely be able to smell the smoke outside in some areas, and it will reduce air quality enough that people with respiratory problems like asthma will certainly want to limit the amount of time that you spend outside, and it's going to be with us for the next couple of days or so. Taking a look, there is a spot shower out there right now in northeastern Connecticut. Most of the state is dry, 50s to right around 60 degrees. We'll see overnight lows staying in the 50s as we head towards daybreak, and a bit of smoky sunshine to start off the day tomorrow. It is a slightly warmer afternoon with highs in the mid-70s, and we'll see a rising chance for a scattered shower or thunderstorm as we head through the day. We'll step you through it, full forecast, and when we break this weather pattern coming up.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Well, new at 10, a former theater director in Southington is accused of sexually assaulting several underage students.
45-year-old Daniel Jakovich turned himself into police on Friday after a complaint was filed against him back in 2017. Fox 61's DeAndrea Turner joins us in studio tonight to break down this case. DeAndrea?
Well, you guys, while he's being charged with this criminal case, there was actually a case back in 2020 that was filed, a civil lawsuit that was filed in 2020 regarding his alleged sexual assault against 3 victims dating all the way back to 2009.
I think right now they feel vindicated and they feel like they're being listened to.
According to Southington Police, 45-year-old Daniel Jakovich turned himself in on Friday on 3 counts of second-degree sexual assault.
I think they took a closer look at the Connecticut sexual assault statute, and I think that helped them and guided them in their decision to bring charges.
The police reports state this arrest stemmed from an investigation against him in 2017, but allegations of sexual assault started many years before that. According to the victim's attorney, Jakovich used to work with teen theater programs and had inappropriate contact with multiple children over many years, leading to a civil lawsuit against him and multiple theater companies, including Landmark Theater, Thomason Opera House, and Naugatuck Teen Theater in 2020.
All of them have to do with Daniel Jakovich, who was either their theater director or a supervisor, for lighting or other technical aspects of theater. And during that time, unfortunately, he sexually abused these girls.
The report states that alleged assaults happened in spring and summer of 2010, another in winter 2008, winter of 2009, and fall of 2010, and summer of 2015 and 2016. The lawsuit also states every defendant is vicariously liable.
So it's our position in connection with these cases that had they followed their policies as they should have, that the abuse would have been discovered and it would have been prevented early on from occurring.
The victim's attorney says that criminal charges are a step in the right direction for this case.
I mean, this is what they've wanted all along. I mean, it validates their experiences and what they've had to endure by Mr. Jakovich.
And now his next court date is set for June 16th for the criminal charges, and the civil case is set to go to trial in 2024. Now, we also reached out to each of the defendants' lawyers in this case, and we are waiting to hear back. In the studio, DeAndrea Turner, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, DeAndrea, thank you. Well, we have an update tonight on Friday's building collapse in New Haven. 6 of the 8 people who were hurt in that collapse have been released from the hospital. Meanwhile, city leaders say they did everything they could to ensure the building that collapsed was a safe construction site. Mayor Justin Elicker providing the update earlier today.
We want to make absolutely sure that something like this never happens again. So in addition to inspecting what specifically happened at this site, the building department is making sure that other sites that have any similar type of construction are inspected.
The collapse happened around 12:30 Friday afternoon when wet concrete pooled up too much in one area. 6 workers were pulled out of the building. 3 of them were partially buried under the rubble. They were lifted by firefighters after falling several floors into wet concrete.
Waterbury police have identified the person who was shot and killed over the weekend. Police say 26-year-old Akeem Campbell was shot right near North Main and Division Streets around 5 o'clock yesterday morning. Police say that Campbell's car was found in the road with evidence of gunshots. Campbell was taken to the hospital where he later died. No word tonight on any suspects or arrests.
A man is dead tonight after crashing into a tree in Southington. Police say the car crashed into a tree on Meriden Avenue just before 6 this morning. The driver, James Michulewski, was taken to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. No other cars were involved. Part of Meriden Avenue was closed for some time as crews responded.
Stonington police making an arrest about 3 months after a custodian was killed in a hit and run while he was riding his bike. Officers say 41-year-old Jonathan Olson turned himself in today. He's accused of hitting 70-year-old Gary Piver on Broad Street back in March. Piver was a longtime worker at Stonington High School and was killed just 1 day before his birthday. Olson was released on a $100,000 bond. He's due back in court next week.
And new at 10, a Ledyard man was arrested after police say he assaulted a woman with a gallon of milk. 38-year-old Gregory Starts is charged with disorderly conduct. Investigators say the woman claimed he assaulted her with a milk jug and dumped milk on her last night. When officers arrived at the home, they found Starts intoxicated, allegedly, and milk covering the dining room and the kitchen area.
Hartford police arrested 11 people over the weekend accused of illegally driving ATVs on city streets. Police performed the detail Sunday to address a rise in disturbances. The detail resulted in a separate arrest for a stolen dirt bike as well, and another for possession of a gun with a high-capacity magazine. A suspect wanted for a robbery was also taken into custody. 11 ATVs were impounded as a result of the detail.
Well, new developments at 10. Right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is appealing the $1.4 billion defamation verdict against him in a Waterbury court. Jones was ordered to pay that money in the case brought by the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook school shooting. The InfoWars host was sued for pushing years of lies that the school massacre was a hoax. Jones's lawyer, Norm Pattis, says the verdict was excessive and questioned how the trial was conducted.
The verdict is against the weight of the evidence, was the product of aberrant or erroneous court rulings, and Mr. Jones is entitled to a new trial. The plaintiffs were relieved of the responsibility of proving the harm they sought, and they ended up with hundreds of millions, more than $1 billion. It's a shocking verdict that requires reversal.
Sandy Hook families also won millions of dollars in two similar defamation trials against Jones held in Texas last year.
We have much more.